Since I was a kid, I had always dreamed of seeing puffins. Fascinating creatures with their beaks able to hold mouthfuls of fish, and with the capability of diving nearly 200 feet underwater. These parrots of the sea are miraculous. Seeing them up close and in person, building a family has always been a goal of mine. So much so that I'm traveling 5,000 miles from California in the United States all the way to a Norwegian island in order to try and follow a few puffins on these cliffs, building a family. Through this adventure, I'd come across disappointments and the realities of nature. But I'd also get to witness a family being built and some of the most stunning views of my whole life. This is that story. This video is made for the people who have inspired me for so long to do what I do here on YouTube, crafting stories about the natural world. This video may very well be the most important video I've ever made, and you'll find out why later in the video. But all I can say is that this moment in time is one I'll always look back at and remember. After a long travel from sunny California to cloudy Norway, I had finally arrived back on land. Norway is a stunning country, mountain peaks mixed in and socializing with the ocean. No matter where you drive, views always surround you. And after a few hours, we had arrived on the island of Runde. Now, it was time to rest up and head out the following morning. Every single species I was encountering this morning was a new bird for me, being from across the Atlantic. It was almost overwhelming passing up on trying to get good photos of all these new birds, but I knew I had to stay focused on what mattered most and what I really came here for. To get the puffin photos I was really hoping for, I'd have to devote the time and energy required to getting the perfect shot. While I was still on my way to the trail, suddenly, a white wagtail pair popped right up in front of me with an incredible mating dance. I couldn't believe my eyes. I just so happened to be filming in this moment and captured this beautiful courtship display of the two as they prepared for nesting season. Clearly, this male had to earn his place in her heart first. There was so much more that I captured on my first morning out and in the following days that I won't be spending time on in this video, but that I'll be releasing in an extended version soon. So if you want to see my complete adventure throughout Norway, subscribe to the channel below. After bumping into the island's northern gannet nest, I spent some time getting some artistic slow exposure shots of them, flying by with the Sigma 500mm 5.6. However, it was then that I came across a sad encounter. I started to notice a duel between two gannets taking place down on the cliff. Prime space for gannet nesting is limited, and to gain access, you need to claim your spot. One gannet flew up onto a cliff and started fighting for the rights to the same area as a pair that was already there. They locked beaks and braced themselves with their wings, and the battle commenced. As I watched for the next 5 minutes, one gannet finally gained the upper hand and shoved the other off the cliff. This is why it's so important to protect areas like this in nature. While it may seem to the human eye like there's plenty of space for birds like this to live, gannets need a very specific set of conditions to survive in the wild, including open rocky cliffs and specific food sources. And without access to prime real estate, these birds would simply cease to exist. In fact, the whole island of Runde is important because of this. The variety of cliffs offers different nesting sites to different birds, and the meeting of these two massive ocean currents right outside the island provides for the collection of food these bird species need to live. Back at the base of the mountain, I met back up with Jimmy, a fellow wildlife photographer from Sweden I was excited to meet up with. What's really awesome is that Jimmy has been a longtime follower of my channel, but I've gotten to know him through a series of different events. He got put on my map with his image of an Atlantic Puffin that actually placed in the annual photo competition I host. So it's a really cool full circle moment where I got to know Jimmy because of these puffins in his photograph from Runde, and now he's here to meet up with me and photograph puffins here once again. As we approached the Puffin cliffs, my excitement had grown to an immense level. This was the moment I had traveled for. The wind had picked up to a stiff 40-mile-an-hour gust. It was intense. The cold was quickly getting to me and not a puffin was in sight. And then, out of nowhere, a black cloud of puffins approached from the distance over the sea. Almost as if on the cue of an orchestra, they suddenly swarmed the cliffs in a swirling vortex, with half of them remaining in flight and half of them coming in to search the hillsides. The show had begun. Currently, around 58,000 Atlantic Puffin call the cliffs of Runde their home, and in every direction you look, they can be spotted. It was almost too much to take in. I captured photos left and right of puffins in every type of background and position that felt imaginable. These were incredible opportunities to get amazing photographs with a tight lens like the Sigma 500 5.6. However, I knew that I also needed to try to make sure and go a little wider. I pulled out my 135 once more and looked for some scenic angles with a smaller puffin in frame and more extensive views of the scenery. While some of these turned out good, I felt like I still couldn't get quite as much seen as I would have liked. As the night approached, puffins started to gather nesting materials to add to their nests. To me, it's one of the most inspiring things to witness, is a male and female couple coming together each year like these puffins do to build a family and raise them up. Each year, they return to the same place, with the same partner and the same goal in mind. And right now, in the month of May, it's nest building season. The winds were far too strong to hear it tonight, but the males and females will gently call to each other and flick their heads back as a sign of affection, by which afterwards, they'll seal it with a little beak rubbing action. The puffins worked tirelessly to gather the grasses on the hillsides, yanking and pulling away. But it was almost comical to me to watch them fight the high winds as they did so, as you can see this puffin in the video tried to. As he gets fed up with the grass whipping him in the face, he tries to readjust, losing nearly all the grass in the process. Well, I guess literally all of it. This behavior was precious to watch, and as the night ended, I felt decently satisfied with the images I had gotten. Yet, I knew that I could do even better. I spotted a puffin come up way closer than expected to the fence, off to the side, and it gave me an idea. While I had a lot of tight shots, I wanted something that showed off and represented the island of Runde that these puffins live on. So the next day, I'd be ready with my 24 to 70mm to try and get a shot of these puffins if one came up super close. That would be the shot I was dreaming of. The night came down on our first evening adventuring out on the island. On the way back, I found a perfect cliff edge where you could see a pair of puffins hanging out and decided to name them Puffy and Scarpa. We'd follow up with them later in the video. Runde was beautiful, breathtaking, and everything I thought it would be. But the journey had just begun. The next morning, the storm was raging, but it looked like the evening would clear up again.
You'll probably notice that throughout this video, I haven't had to use my hands much while carrying around my camera. That's thanks to Cotton Carrier, who's the sponsor of today's video and who helped me get over to here to Norway. What's so great about Cotton Carrier is its ability to keep you hands-free while still being completely flexible and agile. Personally, I hate using camera straps because I feel like they get in the way and swing around while I'm walking, but with Cotton Carrier's harness, your camera stays firmly stuck to your chest as you hike around. Better yet, to take it out and capture a photo, it takes less than a second for me to grab it and get into position. Cotton carrier is genuinely the only camera carrying device that I ever like using anymore, and that was before I even first got a sponsorship with them. And I'd highly recommend trying them out if you need an accessible camera carrying solution for yourself. If you're interested, you can use my link in the description below to receive 15% off your purchase.
Sure enough, the sun was out, and the puffins were all ready to work, gathering and building nests. I moved over to the area where you can get closest to puffins, and there was already a large group of people posted up. Luckily, I knew where the best spot would be to place myself from my experience yesterday, so I patiently waited for the area to clear up, then moved into position. There are 2 pairs of white-tailed eagle that are known to nest on the island, and they happened to come by, giving us a show. What seemed to be a territory dispute was cool to watch, but all happened far out and didn't give any good results for photos. The colors in this lighting brought the puffin cliffs to life as I looked down on them, and as I was observing different scenes to photograph, it was then that I noticed a sad sight. A pair of puffins was rubbing beaks with one another and bonding, when I noticed some nasty scars on the side of one's face. Not sure what had gotten this puffin injured, but clearly this parent was still working hard to provide for its family. It's things like this that are seen that put the reality of nature in perspective. Regardless of the injuries, one must press on and do what's best for it and the colony. Let's name this guy Scarface for being the baddest puffin of them all. Then suddenly, a puffin flew up right in front of me and barely more than an arm's reach away. I couldn't believe my eyes. Just like I had prepared for, I quickly snatched the camera from my second shooter with the 24-70 mounted on it and worked to capture photos of these puffins at truly wide angles. I could not believe how bold and how close these guys were getting. And it wasn't just 1 or 2, but as time went on, more and more came up close, resulting in many different opportunities of capturing unique compositions of the cliffside. While I lost my B-roll cam in these moments, my second shooter got this clip with his phone to show off just how incredibly close up these puffin were to me. It was an incredible evening, and as the sun started to set and the people were dissipating, I found myself capturing an incredible image of 2 Atlantic puffin, getting a little feisty with each other, and wings spread wide open. My day of what I had thought would be the best photos of my whole entire trip had come to a close. At least, that's what I thought. And man, was I wrong. As we walked down from the cliffs that evening, overwhelming gratitude filled my heart. The island of Runde is beautiful at twilight, and by this point, it had become a very familiar way to wind down my day, walking in the evening. It was time to say goodbye to Jimmy, and I had loved getting to meet him in person. The next day, I decided to go on a short road trip to explore some more of Norway. After returning, I woke up the next morning ready for my final day on the island, to capture that iconic shot that I wanted. If watching this puffin video has piqued your interest of doing something like this for yourself, then next year, I'll be hosting a guided small group workshop on the island for you guys to come and take part of yourself. If you want to sign up for it, check out the link in the description to see more details. After the previous day of exploring off the island, I decided to spend my final morning exploring the old fishing port of the town and visiting the visitor center. The visitor center was informative and really put the decline of seabirds in perspective. In less than 50 years, the population of puffin on the island have declined from 190,000 to 58,000. Shag from 6,000 to just a mere 300, but even more drastically, guillemot from 35,000 to a small 1,000, and black-legged kittiwake from 300,000 to only 500. These numbers should be shocking, and it mostly comes down to problems with fishing in our oceans more than anything else. It's something that's important to be aware of, and I'd encourage anyone who cares to do research on how the state of today's oceans is affected by commercial fishing. It was now the final evening out. I wasn't expecting much of the day, maybe a few shots here or there, but little did I know that by the end of tonight, it would undoubtedly be the most incredible experience I've ever had in nature, and my favorite photos I've ever captured. Hiking around the island one last time was sentimental. It's rare I find a place that I feel truly free and unbound by concrete or unsurpassable environments. But on Runde, everything felt possible, and I was ready to give it one more try at getting a good puffin photo. You see, there was one particular angle I was hoping to get a wide-angle shot at yesterday that I didn't capture. I was hoping that a puffin would hop right up on this rock where you get a beautiful landscape in the distance, with the curve of the island and Norway out in the distance. But it never came. Tonight, I was hoping to position myself correctly and pray that a puffin came by that spot, and to get the perfect image that I was wanting. I started off by the area I had spotted razorbills at the day before, and I worked really hard to get something, but this was the best I got. They're so dug in on a steep cliff that it makes it really hard to get any angle, but the one gap I found in the rocks from above would have to suffice. A cute little puffin came right up near me and was foraging for some nesting material. It was a brief encounter, but man, it's so funny to see how cute and bold these little guys are, no matter where you are on the island.
Can always count on the real wildlife to greet us. Off to the last grand finale of the night.
Once again, I had come to pay my dues to the puffins. And to my surprise, there were much less people here today, which was really nice. Puffy and Scarpa were back at their burrow's ledge, and as the evening went on, more puffins would occasionally join them to check out the area, then leave again soon after. I got into position and took out the wide-angle lens once again. Possibly due to the smaller number of people, they seemed to be getting so much closer up tonight, and I found them constantly walking right up to me and giving me the most incredible angles I've ever hoped to capture. I switched back and forth between tight and wide angles, and finally captured the iconic close-up shots that you imagine when you think of puffins. On my final night, it was finally coming together perfectly, with nearly no flaws. Now, the only thing to do was to capture the perfect wide angle I was dreaming of. As darkness started to settle over the ocean and land, everyone had eventually left, leaving me alone with the beauty of nature. It also happened to be the most peaceful night, and the wind had all but died down, allowing me to hear the gentle voice of the puffin as they called to each other across the hillsides. The sound was unreal, so innocent and gentle, and sitting there all alone with such magnificent creatures and such a magnificent view felt like heaven on earth. These birds seemed to all make sense now. Their behaviors, their being, and I was overcome with thankfulness that I, a simple human, am a part of something so grand and beautifully created. And finally, the moment had come. As a puffin walked out onto the rock I was praying for, I clicked the shutter and captured my favorite photo of my whole life. A puffin, wings spread, looking out into the Atlantic Ocean, from his home towering above. Wow. The journey doesn't end there though. Off to my other side, a male and female were romancing each other on the cliffside, and I sat and watched for a bit as they graced each other with their calls. This image is particularly special to me because at the time of you watching this video, my wife is either just about to have or has already had our first children. 2 sons. Twins, I know, right? Right now, the only thing on my mind often is the joy of being a father and building my own nest with my wife. I feel so blessed that God gave us not only 1, but 2 baby boys to take care of, love on, and to show them the world. Seeing these puffin prepare for their family throughout my time in Norway has brought me nearly to tears in seeing the joy and value of life. Animal life, but even more so human life. To think that puffins can do the hard, yet so rewarding task of raising up a child in a tough world gives me some extra encouragement to do it myself. And to see their unrelenting sacrifices they make to do so inspires me to be a better man myself. Cherish life, for there is so much beauty within it. So, as the night came to an end, I reflected on these things and prayed a prayer of blessing over my sons to come. Dad loves you. If you'd like to purchase any of my prints you see here in this video to support me in my next journey, or just simply because you love them, I'd be honored. I put a ton of work into these videos and they aren't cheap to make, so your support means more than you know. Link is in the description. And for anyone looking to have an experience photographing puffins like this, I'll be hosting a guided workshop here next year that you can see more details on in the description below as well. Thank you all once again, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.